Welcome to the Supplement Engineer Podcast. My name is Robert Chinetsky. Today we have the honor and privilege to be joined by the founder of Supplement Snoop, Mr. Justin Hall. Now I know that a lot of you have heard Justin on the podcast before, but it's been quite a while since he's made a visit to the podcast. I know he's got a lot of things going on. You know, he's been making the podcast rounds. I heard a rumor that he was going to the Joe Rogan podcast soon. That's obviously got to be a reason why he would blow off our podcast. And then there was another rumor that he got invited to the Compound Solutions Thanksgiving Day bash. I missed out on that one. I guess, that was the makeup for the supply side party. So, dude, how are you? Is everything okay? I heard you were entertaining some other offers as a possible co-host on some other platforms. So, is there anything our listeners can do to entice you to stick around here a little bit longer?
You feel good about yourself now? You feel better? You got that out of your system? No, man. I think I've been fielding several offers for co-hosts and things like that, and so I had some interviews, and I wanted to see how it was going to go, but they weren't offering me the money that you offer me, so I'm going to stick around here. The grass isn't always greener on the other side.
Yeah, we do shell out the big bucks for prime talent here. That's what we try to do.
Let me see. We'll knock the rust off and see if we can still figure out how to do this.
All right. Well, to ease you back into it, what's the any new products come across your desk that have stuck out or caught your eye that you've been enjoying?
Well, in the last 3 months since we've done a podcast together.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think probably the one that sticks out the most is I got the Sledge MRP, the whole food meal replacement.
Mm-hmm.
Homemade. Did you see the Instagram TV that Sledge did about that product?
No, I saw you made a comment about it. I have not gone back and checked. I heard you reference, and a few other people in the Supplement Snoop group made reference to this homemade video or something, but I need to...
Oh, God, you gotta see it, dude.
See what it is.
You have to see it. It's the funniest shit, I think. And honestly, man, I hate to say this, but I very rarely... I see all these people, they repost stuff from the internet and they're laughing and all this stuff. I don't know if they really think it's funny or they just use their emojis, but I just don't think shit's that funny. You see the same stuff over and over again. I just don't I don't laugh at stuff I see on the internet. But this video that Sledge did, I was just in tears, laughing so hard. Seth does it so perfectly. I almost didn't watch it. Mm-hmm. But I decided to check it out, and I'm glad that I did. So if anybody has not seen it, the video itself is hilarious. Seth's a pretty funny guy, and they have some extra surprises in there that I didn't exactly expect. Nice. To say. They have two flavors. One is sweet potato pie, mm-hmm. and the other is chocolate brownie. And that plays heavily into why it's so funny. The video, but okay. I've used both, and they are both excellent. And the sweet potato one, I think, is really cool because it's that's kind of unique. Haven't seen I have Macrogen from Ben, and there's been a lot of good I don't even want to say because the macros on this one are I think 45 protein and 45 carbs or something like that.
Yeah, I got it pulled up here. 6 grams of fat, 46 total carbs, 10 fiber, 3 total sugars, 48 protein for a grand total of 420 calories per 2 scoops, which is a full serving.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not the formula is not laid out like the way Macrogen. Ben fully disclosed his MRP, and I know with the controversy that I've talked about several times with
another brand,
the Redcon one, that's not exactly what it seems. It would be nice. I think the Sledge guys are very high quality and very trustworthy. Mm-hmm. They don't go the cheap route like Redcon does. So my inclination is, this is, on the level just from what I know about those guys. But at the same time, it still is always nice to. I thought that was really cool that Ben did that on his Macrogen product, that he told you exactly what of each source you were getting, mm-hmm. which was nice. But the flavors on these things are good. They're really good, man.
Yeah, overall, I like the profile of it. I like how high the fiber count is for the amount of carbs that you're getting. That's going to help it have a little bit more staying power than some of the other MRPs or mass gainer things that are just a bunch of maltodextrin. And is actually whole food sources. What I would be curious about, because their protein blend is isolate, whey protein isolate, whey protein concentrate, brown rice protein, egg white powder, beef protein, and pea protein. We have heard various things about where beef protein is sourced, and is it really just hydrolyzed collagen that they're calling beef protein or things like that. So I'd like to get a little bit more clarification on what the beef protein is, or why I guess did they choose to put that in there, just to bulk up the amount of protein sources they can say that they have in there, or is it lending something, is it because of the extra glycine and other things that are in beef protein and collagen that it might enhance the overall amino profile?
Well, the good thing is Mike, who is the co-owner of Sledge, is now, he's a subscriber to the app, and he's part of the private group. So that's what it's for. People can ask them questions, and he can break it down for us. So maybe that's a question we should ask him.
It would be a very good question. Yes.
Yeah, because Macrogen uses desiccated beef liver, I think, as their beef source. So they're very specific about what he uses, and I know that's an expensive-ish, kind of route that he goes.
Does it give it any kind of because liver is not an easy flavor to cover up. Does the Macrogen have any kind of livery, nasty kind of taste to it at all?
No, the Macrogen's really good. It's what I think I'm gonna have to do is really just because VMI makes a really good sort of MRP formula that I have too. I just have to taste test one of these days on the group, do a video where I try all these ones, because it's I just like them. They're just so I don't know how to describe it to people. They're all good. They're all just people are well, which one? It's well, which one sounds good to you? And I guarantee you're going to like it.
Yeah. I guess which one also fits in your budget. I'm sure they're all relatively similarly priced, but still, one may have a slightly better macro profile depending on what your specific needs are, what your budget is, or, dietary preferences and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, and they are, like I said, with the homemade, it is, right, because I think that's a little bit higher. You have the 1-to-1 protein to carb, which I like that anyway, but it's that the number of macros in there is, I think, unique compared to some of the other ones. So I agree with you. It's I just get to this point where people just constantly, man, every day ask me about protein and protein flavors, and I'm like, if you're going for a quality company, if the flavor sounds good to you, just go buy it. You're fine.
Right.
Everything's gonna be fine. People just obsess about, but which I get, because in the past, the quality was a lot different. It seems like most all companies are using the same type of manufacturing process. It just ultimately comes down to flavor. They're not any company worth its salt these days is not going to release a protein that doesn't taste good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they'll just get destroyed in the marketplace.
Right. Exactly, because there's so many good ones at this point. So, because I think I'm going to get a chance to try the Muscle Sport, the Christmas cookie dough one.
Yeah,
that one I'm definitely interested in.
Is Greg in the Supplement Snoop group? Greg Helton from Muscle Sport?
No, but I do talk to him, and I talk to Jason from there all the time. They're good. They're super good group of guys.
Yeah.
All their whole team very supportive of what we do. Jason's he's just super busy. He's kind of in that same vein that Mike is with Sledge. They have manufacturing experience, they know retail, they know this. So it's just a huge resource for the people in the Supplement Snoop group to have these people that have all this different knowledge from these different, and they all know that. I think one thing that is important, and I've never even had to say anything about this, but brands know if you're in that group, you're not allowed to start a topic about your company or your product or anything like that. But if someone asks you, that's what you're there for, is to help out. So it's but I've never had. Everybody seems to respect the space pretty well, and so I just want to keep it that way.
That's good, or otherwise you'll drop the ban hammer.
That's right, man.
Since we're on the topic of proteins, Stack3d has posted their semifinals for their annual protein wars, and so when I had Shane on the podcast, probably a month or so ago, month and a half ago. He was talking about that was in the works of coming in. So now we've progressed through the initial 2 rounds, and we're down to the 2 semifinals, which each semifinal bracket has 3 proteins in it. And so we'll give our thoughts on these now. And so for the listeners out there, if you're not doing that, we like what Shane does over at Stack3d. So go, if you want to go vote for a protein, go support them over there. They do good work covering all the various, the thousands upon thousands of products that are released each year.
Agreed. We love the people at Stacked.
Yes, we do like them. The Protein Wars,
Yeah.
it's a popularity contest. That's all it is. And so in the Protein Wars semifinal A, I mean, I think it's a travesty, the products that are listed on here. The first bracket has Bomar Nutrition, which go back and listen to the interview I did with Josh and Sarah. That's an awesome one.
I like Bomar's. I've only tried the one French toast. It was very good though. They definitely do a good job there.
Yeah. Bomar against Optimum Nutrition, which has been the gold standard in the industry for protein for a long time. Not the best tasting, but it's the most widely available. And then
I thought I clicked on a
Alani
link
Nu.
that was from like 1999 on accident, but
yeah, I don't know. So the fact, and all right, and then so the other bracket is BPN, Bare Performance Nutrition Protein, Ghost, and Performix ISO Whey Protein.
it's tough, man.
That's, I mean, yeah, I've never tried BPN's protein. I've tried their pre-workout a couple years ago, and I thought it was good. I mean, it's a solid formula. But, to see that it's these 6 in the semifinals, in terms of best tasting, I've had Ghost's older flavors. I haven't had this Chips Ahoy one, but I've heard there was some inconsistencies between the 2 batches. Their old peanut butter cereal milk and regular cereal milk was phenomenal when it came onto the market. And Bomar's proteins, we've had a few flavors here at the house, and I really like those too. So I can say that those are among some of the better tasting proteins on the market. Optimum is widely available. It's nowhere near one of the top 6 tasting proteins on the market. To see the fact that something like MTS didn't make it up there, which I've tried their stuff for years, and I've always liked their flavoring a lot. Obviously companies like Morphogen, which have really good tasting proteins, and a bunch of other ones just don't have the reach that these other companies have from a social media or marketing. But I mean, I seeing a company like Alani Nu and Performix on here just irritates the hell out of me because they don't make very good. I don't think their quality of their formulas is not good at all.
So one observation that I had, and Ben Kane from PricePod, he made a good point to me the other day. He goes, one reason, that the Ghost Whey, I was talking about the Chips Ahoy. The Chips Ahoy, I like it. It's kind of a cool idea, but ultimately, I don't think it really plays out that great, to be honest with you. Just for me, I appreciate what they're doing, and I think, but what Ben said was, he was like, well, what I like about their proteins are they're fully disclosed. And I was like, that's a good point. So are we encompassing just flavor? Or are we talking about quality? And so what's the criteria for best protein anyway? So, you immediately think flavor. But one thing that I thought was super interesting about this entire process this year was, so every year it's comes down to NutraBio and Man Sports.
Yeah.
Right? Every year. So, but literally by all accounts, NutraBio's protein went 100 levels up this year than it's ever been in the past.
Yep.
But you can see they didn't advertise this stuff.
Mm-mm.
They didn't advertise. So it's just kind of funny where it's really that's the only thing you even need to think about when it comes to this. And people have been getting on Stack oh, how can this be? It's dude, this is people voted for this. This is not stats.
Yeah, Shane didn't pick these 6. I can guarantee you, Shane wouldn't put these as the top 6.
Exactly. So, but that was just what struck me is NutraBio is always in the top of this contest, but yet the year that they blow the lid off their entire process and make flavors that just destroy everything that they've been doing before. Now they're not in it, so it's it just kind of shows you what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. You have to hype the shit out of it, or else you're not going to get any support. And just to further beat the nail into the board further, this is when companies do this kind of shit. I don't like. All right, so Performix is IO Whey protein. They're saying it's a game-changing protein. driven by IO ingredient optimized, which is a patent-pending process that naturally
I'm really not a
modifies
fan of
the molecular structure of ingredients through the visionary application. The structure of the protein is altered, resulting in increased bioavailability and efficacy. Not and, but and, so we got a typo there, ensuring you get more from less, which is, you don't need to increase the bioavailability of whey protein. It's got a bioavailability on par with whole eggs. This is the biggest load of horseshit I have ever seen from a protein. This is garbage. You don't need to enhance the bioavailability. Stop wasting your time, energy, and effort and overcharging the fuck out of customers for this enhanced protein when it's not going to do anything substantially better than regular whey protein.
And I missed you these last couple weeks.
Dude, this is the kind of shit that irritates me about companies, marketing, and the supplement industry.
It's sham.
Yeah. It's
but
total.
It's cool. Like, and I mentioned this the other day, and actually I had several high-profile company owners and things like that. I would never blackmail them and put their comments out there agreeing with what I was saying, but they know what it is. This is a big game. Basically, all it is to drive traffic to each other's websites.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's fine. But that's why we don't do it. Like, I have no interest in doing any shit like this because our website isn't designed to pull traffic and ads and stuff like that to my website anyway, so that's the only reason why you do it. I mean, think about all the unique visitors you're going to get from running a contest like this. It is the only reason why anybody does shit like this.
Yeah.
When you look at top 5, if you do a top 5 video, it will get more clicks and things like that than any other type of thing, because that's what people just search for. So it's cool, it is whatever, but don't. I just would never be involved anymore, ever.
No. Yeah, So, all right. Well, we've given our thoughts. We beat the hell out of that pretty good, I would say. Alani Nu is one of the top 6 proteins, and we had a listener question from Kayla. She reached out and said, hey, I'm considering buying some Alani Nu products. I've heard you and Snoop are not the biggest fans of Alani Nu. Can you enumerate as to why you aren't such big fans of the brand? So, let's start with their whey protein, which it's a blend of a non-disclosed blend of hydrolyzed whey protein and whey protein isolate. Then it's got a non-disclosed amount of dietary sport. So I believe the clinical dose on that is 480 milligrams. But we don't actually know how much we're getting in here. At least the information is not readily available on their website. So if they want to reach out and tell me how much it is, that would be great. But you're getting... I
don't think they have for us.
Yeah. 23.4 grams of protein per scoop, 2.5 grams of carbohydrate, 1 gram of total fat. 30 serving tub will run you $45 on their website. Hydrolyzed whey protein. Of the 3 whey protein options you have, I think it's the worst because it's the most processed, and all of the beneficial immune-boosting immunoglobulins that are in there and the protein fractions are going to get destroyed in the process. Hydrolyzed whey also tastes like shit. It's got a very chemically taste. It's very degraded from a protein standpoint. It's also more expensive. And if you look at the studies that say, well, it's the super fast, rapid digesting protein, it's going to give you that much better muscle recovery and muscle gains. You look at the studies comparing it to regular isolate or concentrate or something like casein, it's a wash. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. So I don't understand, unless you are, hyper lactose intolerant, and in that case, just go with like an egg protein or a pea protein or something like that.
I think everybody knows by now, but if I don't mind if you want to, isolate, if that's your choice and things like that, that's fine. I lean more towards, I like the milk protein isolates, just because, we're closer to the actual whole food source in that sense. Ultimately, I've said it a million times, like on my stories, I was like, I have used every kind of protein in every scenario possible, and there is not one damn bit of difference when it comes to, like, your utilization of it, or this, like, a noticeable difference. Maybe if you put it, in a petri dish somewhere, you could, but you're not going to notice. So it's kind of just a personal preference of, does it taste good? At this point, the market is so competitive and such high quality that's why it's like, even to do a best protein or something like that is kind of stupid, because if you can articulate to me why whatever wins this one is better than the 15 ones I have here with me right now, I would love to hear it. I would love to hear what your reasoning is.
Yeah.
Because it's only because you like the company, which that's fine. I mean, but that has nothing to do with cookie cutter. So
Correct. Yeah, and if I just their formulas are very, very mediocre. The prices.
some of them are fucking horrible.
Yeah.
I think I talked to this the girl that asked this question. I think we talked about this last night. Um, like for instance, some of their products they're not the worst I've ever seen. Like their pre-workout and their pump, it's very basic. But
Yeah.
like take a look at their freaking sleep formula.
I just pulled that up. It's 1 milligram of melatonin and then 80 milligrams of pharma GABA.
That's it.
Yeah, $35 for that. Oh, you're getting a little bit of magnesium citrate too, but still, you're not magnesium citrate. I want to say it's like 50% yield magnesium, so you're getting maybe 100 milligrams worth. When usually like the pre-bed dose is around 400 milligrams. I want to say of like the bisglycinate form.
I mean, that's a really bad.
Yeah.
It's just right. There's nothing wrong. Like pharma GABA is a fine ingredient. Melatonin is. I mean, you can walk down the grocery store aisle and there's a million brands selling melatonin, right?
Correct. Yeah. Even like the Nature's Bounty or the Nature's Made that you can find in the store for like $10. I'm sure.
It's right. It's not like what I notice with them. There's nothing that I see them do that is shady or they're fucking people over and this and that. It's just the stuff that they do. You can just feel it when you look at it. You're like they said we're gonna take some basic ingredients at some low-ish dosages, and we're gonna make some really cool, effective marketing and influence to drive it home. So it's not like you're buying some of these products and just burning your money away, but you're paying for so much marketing when it comes to these formulas. So that's just what people have to understand sometimes. It's like not necessarily saying they're out there doing bad things. They're not the worst company I've seen, but it's just kind of obvious. You're paying for so much of the label and the pastel colors and whoever the influencers are behind this. Like that's what you're paying for. You're not necessarily paying for the ingredients because you can get the same formulas from a million other companies for a lot better value. You're not part of this brand, which I think is what captures people's attention is the colors and being part of something. Which that's what you want to do. Knock yourself out. I don't really care about that. But it's like if you really want to talk about the formulas, if you really want to get down to the guts of things, like I'm not going to run around and tell people if you use Alani Nu, you're wrong and you should stop doing that. But if you ask, like, well, what's wrong with it? It's like, I'll tell you what's wrong.
Yeah, I mean that's If you look at their fat burner, it's $40 for 100 milligrams of caffeine, 50 milligrams of 5-HTP, 50 milligrams of DMAE. So usually you need like 750 or 800 milligrams of that. 50 milligrams of grains of paradise. So but it's standardized to the 12.5% 6-paradol. So it's a generic version of paradoxine. And that's a decent dose. And then you get 125 micrograms. So micrograms of alpha yohimbine. Which I doubt that's going to do a freaking flip of anything.
So basically, right, you're paying for
100 milligrams of caffeine. $40 for a little bit of caffeine.
Yeah, that sucks. That sucks. It's like that's the cheapest ingredient basically you're going to find. But then what I don't like that they do too is, it's micro. They make the caffeine even try and seem like it's something better than just some caffeine. It's like micro encapsulated extended release caffeine. Okay, and it just I don't know. Their line sucks.
Yeah,
it just does. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. I don't think that they're shady people or anything. It's just the products. They're just not very good.
No, they're not. Yeah. They're much better options on the market. So yeah, that is our Kayla. I hope that was a in-depth enough answer for you regarding that.
I feel like Rick, because like we talked about their pump product, their pump stem free.
Yeah.
And what people need to realize, so it's $40 for 30 servings, okay? It's got citrulline, glycerol, and nitrosogene basically in it.
Yeah.
Like, there is, I mean, I could name off the top of my head probably 200 pump products that have those ingredients, plus many other ingredients. This is using the bare bones, what's acceptable for kind of a pump, and there's nothing even in there. You know, you have nitrosogene, you have glycerol. It's not like it's horrible, but when you compare it, if you actually take this label and compare it to other products that are on the market, and you took away the fancy colors and the influencers, like if you did that blind look for people, they would realize that what these products really are.
Correct. Yeah. Well put, man. There's nothing else I can add that would
Thanks, brother.
make that any. That's nailed it.
Oh, but speaking of actual shit companies, I see Insane Labs is on Stack's main page.
Oh no.
Insane Veinz Gold. Oh, wow. That's an interesting formula.
This is a new level of shit from this company.
Wow.
So, yeah, for all the listeners, Insane Labs is, as you all know, a mega prop blended company that just releases 800 milligram caffeinated pre-workouts.
It's $65.
$65 for a 3.275 gram proprietary blend of Hydromax, nitrosogene, betaine, and fulvic acid.
Okay. Alani Nu suddenly looks much better.
Yeah. So if I was stuck between a rock and a hard place, being Insane Labs or Alani Nu, I guess I would go Alani Nu, or just not waste my money on supplements. Period.
Right. I think I would go buy some beet juice.
Yeah. I go buy liters and liters of beet juice, get some nitrates, and not have to pay a certain company any royalties for using something that contains nitrates.
So Alani Nu is not Morphogen or NutriBio or Accent Sledge or some of these companies, but they're also not Insane Labs. So
yeah, a very mediocre company,
right? Which makes it much better than a lot of companies. So
yeah. Yikes,
oh man,
this is. We need some good news. Justin.
So I think we could talk about Bring the Chaos from the Chaos Crew.
Yeah.
Have you ever used that any of their products?
I have not. But it's an Australian company, isn't it? Or UK
I thought
brand.
they were UK. Yeah. They make some cool stuff. I use their pre-workout, which I think it's the same one as this. It doesn't give you the formula on Stack, but I think I've used this formula before, and it was very good.
See, Bring the Chaos. I'm going to pull up their website. It says Hardcore Supplements. Stemhead is their pre-workout. There we go.
That's different. They have two. The Bring the Chaos I think is one pre-workout, and then Stemhead is like they just released that one recently, obviously for people that really want to get cranked up.
Okay, here we go. Bring the Chaos. We've got 4 grams of L-citrulline, 3.2 beta-alanine, 500. That's got to be a typo. It says 500 micrograms of L-tyrosine. It's got to be milligrams because right below that is 250 milligrams of your favorite L-theanine, 250 of Areadrensis, 200 of Juglans regia, which is going to be DMHA, 100 milligrams of lotus leaf, which is Nelumbo nucifera, 100 milligrams of Norvaline, 20 milligrams of niacin, 10 milligrams of black pepper extract, and 10 micrograms of vitamin B12, and 250 of caffeine.
So I think this is one of those ones, it's like I've been using the Alpha Line Superhuman Supreme.
Mm-hmm.
I love that thing. It's got 350 milligrams of theanine in it. And this is like kind of one of those examples where it's like, is it justified that the theanine's in there? And you have these really exotic stimulants that I see UK brands gravitate towards. A lot of UK brands use the Juglans, which I'm just not, I don't know how I feel about Juglans and trying to say it is DMHA, to be honest with you. I don't, I think that's a stretch. I think there's nothing. We're basically just taking their word for it. Like I know that I've used Juglins a few times, like
Yeah.
many different times. It's been really inconsistent. I just don't know how I feel about that. It's like that's their way of getting around the fact that you say putting DMHA on the label, but at the same time, like we've talked about many times, to say 200 milligrams of Juglins, even if there is DMHA in there, how much? Like we have no idea.
Right, yeah, it's going to be a generic extract, and one thing to know is that it could change from batch to batch. So if they get a generic
Right.
English walnut extract this time around, it could be very different from the next time they do a product run. So that the product could be very inconsistent. I mean, or it could be consistent depending on how they're sourcing their materials and what suppliers they're using. But the consumer has no way of knowing that. So that's why, as a consumer, if you took a product one time of year and it hit you super hard, and you took it, maybe 6 or 8 months later, and it felt completely different. Well, it could be because some of these generic extracts have different amounts of alkaloids that are in these ingredients. So they can, unless the guy that's doing the QA/QC work at the manufacturer or at the brand is really going through and checking everything, you have no way of knowing.
Yeah, and I remember just using a sample of this pre-workout. Actually, it's kind of like Rain was like that. Olympus Labs did Rain.
Mm-hmm.
They used Juglins in there, and I always got a good experience from that.
Yeah.
And this one I used, and I did have a good experience with it. I was pleasantly surprised with it.
Yeah. They do need to go and do some proofreading, though, because on their stemhead profile, there's a citrus aurantium's got 2 U's in it. So maybe go back
That's supposed to be cocoamine.
Cocamine, yeah. That's supposed to be I think a standardized form of theobromine.
Right, so I feel like that's spelled wrong.
Yeah, there's a couple there that needs to be a little bit clearer checking on that. What do you think of the look of this Muscle Nation protein?
Muscle Nation protein.
It's at the very bottom of the first page on Stack3d. I know we don't discuss the look of stuff a whole lot on here, but consumers do like
I think that's important.
Consumers do care about the look of a product to a certain degree. That's why the Olympus Lifestyle rebrand got met with such divergent receptions or divergent comments.
Yeah, it's especially important now, I think, because the actual formulas and the products, there's such a little differentiation for it now. So what are you going to do? Ultimately, how do you stand out? You make really cool. I mean, look at Alani Nu. They're a great example. That is a very catchy, just very eye-catching, cool-looking, products for a certain group of people. I mean, it's a no-brainer why it connects with people. So it's like, I don't know. I kind of like this. It's super simple, and you don't have to wonder what the product is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It tells you right out in the front, protein.
Yep.
So I do like
Custard.
that. You also recently completed, during your hiatus, you also completed your internship down at Bang. And yesterday, they announced that they have a holiday flavor themed Bang coming out. So were you key during the development of this flavor? Can you give us any insight on that during your time spent down there with Jack and the crew?
Well, I think that's what people need to know is, yeah, I did spend time at Bang, but then I had to go into quarantine when I came back for like a week just to make sure my shots and all that were up to date and everything like that. So if you really want to put my business out there, we can just be fully transparent. That's what happened. So that's why I was going for it.
Why you were gone?
But
yeah. Oh, for the listeners out there that can't sense the dripping sarcasm, we are completely joking about that. We don't. This is all opinions, not facts. Enjoy it. Please don't send us any cease and desist letters.
Although we've been on a roll lately, so
we have. A lot of people got their panties in a twist over our past couple episodes, so it's probably good that we took a little break.
I think I've had a Bang once in my life, so I really can't even comment on it. I'll never drink one. I don't give a shit. They could pull up right now and with a truckload, I would give them away. There's no fucking way.
Well, I think it used to be a little bit more noteworthy when they would announce a flavor, but now it seems like every month they're releasing a new flavor, and I'm as a consumer, it becomes white noise after a while, it's like, oh yeah, there's another new flavor, and we've already got 68 other flavors, and you haven't done the past few of them very well at all. So, I'm just getting turned off the more and more you continue to release stuff, because that Miami Cola was horrible tasting.
Well, and I think I mentioned this. Someone asked me about energy drinks on when a company owner does certain things, whether it's Bang's company owner, whether it's certain brands, companies. I don't want to be biased when I evaluate their formulas, but people will ask me like, well, why don't you use them? And I'm like, well, if I don't like the company owner, what I know about them or what they say, I'm not sending them my money.
Correct, yeah.
Because there's really like awesome people that I've met in this industry. So why wouldn't my money go to them rather than this person? And not even saying like they're wrong and I'm right, but if I personally don't agree with the things that they say, so I just vote with my dollar. So
yeah.
And Bang is just caffeine and water. So it's like, well, if I don't like the message behind the brand owner, I can find other places to get caffeine water. Like it's not a big deal. So I can't.
But it's got the super creatine and the BCAAs, man.
I know. Well, I did have the Stokes. I did try that.
Yeah, the Froze Rose.
Yeah, man, I was high for like 3 days. It was amazing. It was terrible.
Do you think the CBD kick is going to go strong into next year, or do you think it might slow down a bit?
Man, I hope just one of two things happens. Either one, it goes away, which it's not going to. Two, we just get some sort of legitimacy in the space where we can actually talk about stuff like that. For me, even a legitimate CBD product doesn't get me excited because for me, it doesn't have any benefits that we don't already get with tons of other ingredients.
Correct.
It's this sort of taboo thing that gets people excited, but it just doesn't make any sense. It's like I'll reference something that Ben from Price Pile and I had a conversation about this one time, and he made a comment. He said, I said, why would I need CBD? I can just go buy some KSM, right? Mm-hmm. And he made reference to MFit's one product. He said, well, why not both? MFit has CBD and KSM in the product. KSM is like $10 a month. It's like $30 for 3 months supply.
Yeah.
This CBD plus KSM product was like $40 for 1 month. I'm like, it's the same damn thing to me. It's the same feel that you get from it. So it's like, it's such overpriced crap, like for what it ultimately does. Like, does it have some benefits to it if it's legitimate? Sure it does. But does it outweigh things that we already know about on the market that are a lot cheaper? Fuck no.
Yeah, and I would be curious if you took that CBD plus KSM product, would you get a substantially different experience or feeling compared to just taking 600 milligrams of KSM?
Like, I don't know what experience you're going for at that rate. Like, if you've taken KSM at big dosages and stuff like that, or at theanine, tyrosine, some of these things that can be calming in different ways, what more do you need? Do you need something like to just be so sedative that you're out cold? Well, okay, get some, I don't know, Phenibut.
Yeah.
And so it's like, what is it that you're ultimately after? People are like, oh, well, it calms me down. It's like, well, that's not enough for me to spend, $40, $50 a month on something to calm me down. It's like, there's lots of stuff that does that. That's just my whole thing with CBD. There's not enough there. And then you get the whole shit show of what goes on behind it that I'm just like, well, so what am I doing? Like, if you want to go and try to find DMAA, okay, I kind of get it because there's nothing on the market that touches what DMAA did.
Correct.
So I see why people still want to seek that stuff out, but with CBD, I just don't get it.
I think there's equally, because CBD isn't toxic or dangerous, and it's not psychoactive. So I'm not going to say KSM is safer in any way because they're both safe. They don't have any kind of severe side effects like that. But I will say finding a high quality form of CBD is going to be very, very difficult for the average consumer to do that. Most of the companies don't even know where they're getting their CBD from, especially if it's coming in as a broad spectrum or full spectrum CBD oil or hemp oil
Right.
or anything like that. They have no clue where the source is, what the actual breakdown of all the cannabinoids that are in there. Plus, if you're just going to do CBD isolate by itself, which in the studies you need a 300 milligram dose, you're not going to be paying $30 a month for that dose. You're going to be paying like 10 times that amount because it's not cheap to get CBD isolate of that grade. And plus, it's the bioavailability is shit. So you would want the full spectrum oil just so because there's that synergism with all the other alkaloids and the potentiation of the way it works in the brain and in the endocannabinoid system in the body. But then that brings us back to the original point. You, as the consumer, have to do that legwork to figure out what kind am I getting, what's the quality of it, is this treated with any kind of harsh chemicals, and these chemicals could get laced into the product, and then you're dealing with that, or do these broad spectrum oils have a higher THC content than another batch? And that's just going to be too much mind work for people to do, and they'll end up just pulling everything and anything off the shelf to try it. So, as a consumer awareness individual, somebody that tries to put out quality information for consumers and helps them steer them away from shit products and wasting their money, I would still steer clear of CBD oil. And as a formulator, because you and I both consult with companies fairly regularly, I'm not going to be steering any companies that reach out to say, hey, should we put CBD in a product? I'm going to say no, because I'm not sold on its benefits yet.
I agree. I think similar to what you said earlier, I don't really have to add anything to that. I got something for you. We'll switch gears a little bit. I know the CBD conversation just sort of wears on us both anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I saw that was very interesting last week, 1stPhorm, their Opti Kids, the Kiddo series. Did you see this?
I did.
So I think I've said my piece about 1stPhorm lots of times in the past. I think like when you talk about performance products and certain things like that, I think there's better options on the market. But what 1stPhorm does in general as a company, I think is extremely impressive. I think a lot of people throw that, well, they're an MLM company basically, and they're Legion and all this stuff, and that's fine. But ultimately, the impact that they've made on the industry and people, they do their transformation challenges and they do all this cool stuff. They have a huge line of general health products. I think no matter what your opinion about their marketing tactics or everything else, I think that they've made as big an impact on the industry as anyone that I've seen recently. In this Kiddo series I think that's super interesting. When I saw that, I was like, wow,
it's a very cool innovation for the industry. Or a new addition to the thing, because we're always screaming, where can companies innovate or bring something new to the place? And instead of trying to find yet another form of caffeine or a caffeine relative or something like that, or 6 different ways to boost nitric oxide, this is something that's kind of cool. I mean, granted, it's a glorified multivitamin for kids, but this is the first time we're seeing a major supplement company that's usually in the performance boosting space. So, I mean, obviously they have Nature's Made and Centrum's got kids and Flintstone vitamins, and we all took that shit when we were growing up. But we haven't seen somebody like, NutriBio, Redcon, or any of these other brands do something like this specifically for kids. So I think that's a very cool thing. I'd need to dig into the formulas to see if they're actually beneficial, or if they're going to be drastically different than like a Flintstones Chewy multivitamin.
That's the thing too. Like we're not doctors. I don't know off the top of my head, or can't even really speak on, okay, so what vitamins and minerals are we looking for when it comes to children? What's, more beneficial? I can't really speak on that. I can just sort of speak on, I think it's just an interesting, think about it just on as the industry in general. We've seen this shift towards general health products, and that's really cool. And it's good to see companies with all big resources sort of step up. But right, I think people constantly will say, well, what else can we do? Like, we're sort of capped. But I think this is just sort of an example where this is nothing like that I'm sure a million people like thought about on a day-to-day basis, or they don't already do stuff like this, like I remember like Chris from Inspired, when he said that he was making their multivitamin, his goal was he wants his daughter to be able to use it. His daughter is very young.
Yeah. I think she's around the same age as ours. 2 years old, or 2.5, somewhere in that ballpark.
we'll give him a shout out too. His daughter is adorable. That is a cute kid. So but he talked about that. And I thought that was really cool, like when he was mentioning that, because I think some people just associate, well, supplements are for everyone that, right, over 18, and you have to be some sort of gym goer or something like that. But I think that that's just missing the boat on a lot of things. When you have kids and their diets are so shitty anymore, you see these kids in fast food and all this other crap. So you have the parents that are in, the 1stPhorm sort of family. They've really developed sort of I don't want to say a cult-like mentality because that makes it sound negative, but it's like, people really believe in that company. Like if you're sort of part of it, and it's like, so now they have kids, right? They have young kids, so now we're making products for the next generation of people. And then the more kids can learn about stuff like that, I think it's a cool thing. I mean, maybe it's an overpriced, multivitamin, but so what? And everything is fucking overpriced.
Yeah.
So I think the idea itself is just pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm looking at the multivitamin formula right now, and just from in the developmental years of a kid, two of the most important things are going to be DHA, so fish oil, and choline. I would like to see them, and there's already a company that has a kids-friendly omega-3, because we give one to our daughter here that I'll give her. I call it her brain juice, and she says, I don't want brain juice anymore because it's kind of got, it's strawberry flavor, but it's got a little bit of a fishy taste to it, so I got to figure out another name to trick her into taking it. But they're using choline bitartrate, so she eats 2 or 3 eggs every day, so she's definitely good from like a choline standpoint. But this 40 micrograms of choline bitartrate, and that's so you're going to get 20 micrograms worth of choline in there.
And a gummy formula too.
Yeah, I'm not a big huge fan of this multivitamin formula, the gummies at least. I think the greens thing, which is kind of disguised as a protein shake, MRP kind of thing, because there's 6 grams of protein in it. The OptiKids formula, chocolate flavored, so obviously every kid will do that. And then they've got a 4.
Interesting, that's just probiotics in a kids formula. You wouldn't think that kids would.
Yeah. But I mean, especially if you got little kids and they're always getting sick and getting thrown on antibiotics, that could seriously wipe out their gut bacteria, which will play a key role in keeping them, immune from future sicknesses.
Interesting.
4
It's
grams
kind
of 48 different ingredients, because it's got their Keto Health blend is only 4 grams, and it's got 20-something reds in there, 15 greens. A few different little digestion stuff, and it's all blended. So we have we're getting like 50 milligrams of each thing in there. And how much is that actually doing?
Yeah, and then when you also think about, say, if you want to make it a weight wise, if I saw this formula for grown adults, 200-pound guys, which actually we do see formulas exactly like this.
Yeah, and it's 5 grams of greens, and it's the exact same thing
less.
they're giving the kids.
Yeah. So when it is for kids. Yeah, I don't know. Like, what I do like about this is someone's got to be the first, right? And then when other people see this, there's other companies that are willing to do other things. Maybe we've got to talk to Ben. Ben's got 2 young kids, and this is pretty cool. So then I guess that's the point. Is like, hey, it's a great idea. Can we do better? I think so, but especially for the price. But it takes someone taking that first step, and then the way the industry is, the follow the leader kind of thing. So I think it's cool to be a leader in this space, and that they're going to make a shit ton of money from this. Like this is going to be a super popular product. So and there's nothing wrong with it. It's a good idea. So I think I kind of like it. I know I kind of criticize 1stPhorm every now and then, just based on some of their formulas, but you can't deny what they do for the industry just in general. I think unless you really have an axe to grind with them, you have to sort of give them credit for that.
Yeah. I know y'all don't have any kids, but what are your thoughts on giving supplements to children?
Yeah, I think, and actually I was just having this conversation with Jeff Long the other day. He has 2 young boys. And I asked him, I was like, well, because I saw this is early research about giving whey protein to children and it having a positive effect on them not developing lactose intolerance and all these, dairy things that keep happening to everyone.
Yeah.
Um, so there was some really cool like early research on it. He said, yeah, he said he gives his whey protein to his kids. I think that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've
So,
just recently started doing that with mixing up some Greek yogurt, and I'll take like a little like quarter to a half scoop of strawberry or blueberry protein. We just killed off some of the Bomar stuff, and our little one was eating that up. I figured, I mean,
did
it's
you have the new strawberry Bomar one?
no, I have not tried that one yet.
Okay, a lot of people, because I think it just came out and a lot of people were raving about it.
There, do you remember hearing? All right, we're gonna transition to. I got another axe to grind with something.
Okay.
Do you remember hearing about a supplement company called Ladder?
Isn't that the LeBron James's piece of shit
Yes,
thing he
it's
was
the
typing?
Arnold and LeBron merger.
Ugh.
This and I saw somebody comment saying this is the only thing I would use. It's proven to work. It's the best thing. It's clean for athletes and college athletes and all that nonsense.
Wow. Fuck that person.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got their pre-workout right here.
Is this on Stacked or is it you're just
No,
on
this
the
is just I saw this and I remember I made a note to check it out and see. Okay, so here is the formula. So one packet is 18 grams. It's 25 calories. It's got 6 grams of carbohydrate. It is naturally sweetened with cane sugar and high purity stevia. It's got 5 grams of creatine monohydrate, 3 grams of carnosine, 2.5 grams of betaine, 500 milligrams of CDP choline, 250 milligrams of theanine, and 100 milligrams of green tea caffeine. And that is going to cost you for a 30-day supply $60 freaking dollars.
It's 75 if you only buy it once.
Yeah. So, and that's for the 30 single pack serving. This, outside of the CDP choline and caffeine, not a single ingredient in here is going to confer any acute benefit to help an athlete in their immediate training, in their performance, or anything. So you have to spend $75 just to reach saturation. You could easily build your own pre-workout for like a fourth of the cost of this thing because it is a overpriced piece of shit.
Well, it's made for LeBron.
Yeah, well, he got worked over by whoever told him to support this thing because this is outrageous.
Well, it is what it is. They have.
Yeah.
You're paying for the fact that it's made for LeBron and perfected by you.
Yeah, there are much better options that are equally NSF certified, that are cheaper and better dosed.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's the type of shit, and I think you said it perfectly. I've literally, man, this is America. It's business, capitalism, dude. If you want to make a protein or if you want to make a pre-workout and you want to charge $75 for it, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
Don't use shitty marketing and try and say, oh, this is the one, like we do something that no one else does. This one is, suitable for athletes. It's like, no, fuck you. Like they're all are, like, pretty much, and there's tons of them that I haven't seen third-party tests from this brand. You wanna really say that, then do that. Suitable for sport, other stuff. That's when I just sort of get annoyed. Like, if people should be able to, you can look at a formula and how much it costs, and then you can look at another one. I mean, we do that all day long in our lives. Supplements are no different. We just are too lazy to do it with supplements. So it's like, okay, you can look and see if you're getting your value. It's the ingredients with the price. Okay, so if they want to overcharge you for this and you still buy it, that's your fault. Like, I have no sympathy for people that overpay for certain supplements, and that's why I don't even get involved usually with the pricing thing. But it's like, don't use marketing tactics that are shady, trying to say, oh, this is above and beyond anything else that's out there. We're the only ones that do this, because I guarantee it's a lie.
Yeah, it's right in there. It says meticulously sourced. Ladder contains a combination of ingredients identified by the International Olympic Committee to boost performance. And it's scientifically proven to increase your natural energy production, flush fatigue-causing toxins. This is...
It's just annoying. It's annoying when companies use terms like that will get people's attention when it's like, I know 100 companies that, well, I know more than 100 companies that make they have just the same quality, but it's also, they give you much more, or it's much cheaper.
Correct.
For you. So it's like,
yeah.
It'd be like, just a company, if they make two identical cars, basically, and one says, well, ours is going to save your life in an accident more than the other one, but they have no
proof.
There's nothing about it. If they have the exact same cage and all this other stuff, it's like, you can't fucking say that.
Yeah.
Like, so why is it okay to say it in supplements? So it's crazy to me.
Agreed.
We need something good, man.
Okay, well, you brought up Chris from Inspired earlier. They released the new Devastate Worldwide edition, and we finally got the profile on it.
I did get to try that one quite a few times.
You did?
Uh-huh.
So we got 6 grams of citrulline malate, 2.5 grams of betaine, 1.5 grams of NO3T, 1 gram of Pico-2, 500 milligrams of choline bitartrate, 500 milligrams of tyrosine, 300 milligrams of caffeine, 200 of Advantra C, 125 milligrams of dynamine 40%, 50 milligrams of theobromine, and 25 milligrams of Kana-Ease.
Yeah, I did an Instagram live of Chris, where we went over this formula.
Mm-hmm.
You're a bit too busy to watch it, I guess, but it's okay.
Busy finding other co-hosts.
So he did. He was very upfront with people. He's like, look, he goes, this is going to be a worldwide compliant formula. He's like, that we as a small company need to ship worldwide. He's like, there's only certain things I can do with the formula. He goes, so this is, and he went through each ingredient, why he chose that ingredient. He's like, I wanted to maximize the ingredients, but still be able to, from a business perspective, get it out to people around the world, make sure it's compliant, and still be effective at the same time. So I think that's kind of one of those things where it's really helpful to hear from a company owner your reasoning why. That way, you and I don't come across this and just have to use, like, okay, we'll just assume, certain things. Like when companies get pissed about things we say, it's like, well, explain it. Go out and explain yourselves. Like, and then we don't have to make up our own mind. So it's like when you look at it that context, Chris is sort of, I don't want to say he's obviously not struggling, but
right.
Chris at Inspired, he has always been known in the past for his just rock your shit pre-workouts.
Yeah.
He can't do that anymore. He doesn't want to do that anymore. So it's this sort of jarring shift to compliance and more long-term health focused. And so it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to see what he does. He still offers the regular Devastate, for people that want it. But, when you're a brand and you're trying to scale, there's only certain things you can do. But you can see where he sort of pushes to the upper limits and then takes some sort of, where it's like, okay, I have to back this down. Like, a couple ingredients in here that are, on the lower end of dosaging, but still at the same time. But I did get to use it, and I think people will really like the product.
Right.
So,
building off of what you just said, if because you've mentioned we have ruffled some feathers over the weeks, if you're a brand that has tried to correct us and we reach out and offer you the platform of the podcast to come on, don't cower and run and say, oh, well, we're too busy, we can't come on there. Well, then just keep your mouth shut and don't say anything at all if you're not willing to come and give your side of the story or make time to clear up something that we have given our opinion on.
Yeah, I've always said that from the beginning. Like when I do my Instagram stuff, I was like, hey, I'll always give a company an opportunity.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to bother, if you don't have time, then I'm going to say what I think my opinion is. And you're writing out some stupid like little character message that took you, say, 30 seconds to respond or whatever, that doesn't count to me as any sort of defense. That's meaningless bullshit. It's like it's like with the people that make comments about, it's like your little stupid little comment like is so irrelevant. It's like if you really have something you want to bring to the table, then bring it to the table, but people think that they can just type in these quick messages as they're, scrolling between some other crap that they're looking at, and they think that is somehow impactful to people that really are into this stuff. It's like that you're gonna have to do better. Like, sorry.
Exactly. All right, man. What was your pre-workout of today?
My pre-workout today was full blitz.
Full Blitz from the
Yeah.
Vaso Blitz guys?
Yeah, because I used a company. It's a smaller company. It's called Evil's Bane Labs, and it
Okay.
actually is a really good pre-workout. I used that one yesterday, but I posted today about it because I forgot to do it yesterday. So actually today I used Full Blitz, which I didn't give Full Blitz enough credit. I don't know why, because I really like Vaso Blitz
Hmm.
in its simplicity and its effectiveness. So when I saw the Full Blitz formula, it's basically Vaso Blitz plus a few ingredients. Very simple, straightforward. And I was kind of like, well, I was like, I get to use so many cool pre-workouts, So I just sort of let this one sit for a while.
Yeah.
But just like its pump formula, there's no wasted effort, and everything that's in there is in there for a reason, and it is just a killer effective pre-workout. Like I was in a lot of these pre-workouts, these real complex ones, and they get exotic stims, man, you end up like, you can get really moody, you can get really like just agitated, or you can have all these weird experiences with all this different stuff going on. It's like, and then sometimes you just go back to a simple, highly dosed, effective pre-workout, and you just have a great experience. That's kind of like how that pre-workout is. I think it's definitely one of the better, even though there's nothing over the top about it, it's definitely one of the better pre-workouts I think that came out this last year.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the profile. I think we've touched on it before, but
Mm-hmm.
6 grams of citrulline, 3.2 beta-alanine, 2.5 of betaine, 2 of arginine nitrate, 2 of calcium lactate, 800 milligrams of DMAE, which, referencing back to the Alani Nu post, that is 10 times the dose you're getting in the Alani Nu thing. So, and that's actually the dose that you want in the product, is 750 to 850 range. 335 of caffeine anhydrous, and then 2.3 of yohimbe bark extract, standardized for yohimbine hydrochloride.
Yeah, it's a super solid, great
Yeah.
pre-workout, I think.
Yeah. And one other piece of good news, Iron Brothers, our boy Mark from across the border, is releasing a nootropic called Prodigy.
Prodigy. Yeah, I got to test it.
Did you?
People will enjoy it. It is, well, there's more to that whole story, I think, of this product, why it's so effective, but I don't want to go into too many details. We can talk about that on the after show.
Okay.
But it is a extremely well, especially because Mark, right, he focuses on Amazon and stuff like that, so
Yeah.
you can only use certain ingredients, and
Correct.
his products are super affordable. A lot
Yeah.
of his products are like $20 for like 30 servings, so it's like almost in that Jack Factory. Oh, he'll get pissed at me for saying that because they're both Canadian, and I don't want to make it seem like but they're both in a similar vein where it's like we're going to try to give you a ton of bang for your buck. And he let me try Prodigy, and it was very nice. I think people are really going to like it because it's got enough caffeine in it that most people will be like, okay, but it's got enough of the other ingredients in there too to appeal to everyone, because you're going to go, oh, I feel the caffeine, but oh, okay, now I see the other stuff sort of kicking in, and people that aren't used to that are going to go, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love the formula. They've got the write-up. They didn't show the actual panel on Stack, but they've got the breakdown of all the ingredients. So we're getting a full gram of Alcar, 250 milligrams of citicoline, 200 micrograms of huperzine, 500 milligrams of lion's mane, 300 milligrams of lemon balm, 200 milligrams each of theanine and caffeine, and then 10 milligrams of bioperin to help with absorption.
I'll send you a text here real quick.
Super solid formula, and yeah, in regards to your text, yes, you're 100% spot on. I can recognize. I can, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a very effective, very popular product. Mark does a great job, I think. Giving people good value products, which becomes part of the conversation. It's like, when you see certain margins of products, like I said, it's business, man. I get it. If you want to have a massive operation and tons of employees, then you have to have bigger margins.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it goes. But I made that comment the other day. I had a conversation with a manufacturer, and I was asking him, we were talking about another mega huge operation.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I was like, their products suck. I was like, haven't want anything to do with trying their products. I was like, they're shit formulas. And
Yeah.
the person said to me, they're like, well, they have this massive operation and all this other stuff. And I was like, okay, I understand that. But if you can't provide products that have legitimate dosing that help people, maybe you shouldn't be that fucking big. So I don't really want to hear that, oh, woe is me, we have to charge more for tiny formulas, because you put yourself in a position that if you have to help people with dosages that you can't afford to, well, I don't have any sympathy for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like when people talk about like muscle sport. We were talking about muscle sport earlier.
Mm-hmm.
They catch a lot of shit sometimes because they're expensive. They also provide like really well-dosed products. So they factor in, yes, they make some expensive formulas and they have a massive operation. So yes, you're going to see, more expensive stuff. But I hate that fucking excuse, man. Like, oh, we're so big that we can't use like high dose formulas. It's like, so you can't use the dosages that actually help people because you're too big. You shouldn't be too big. You shouldn't have this influence over everyone. So
correct.
That's just I'll get off my soapbox.
No, that was a good one to get on. It's something we haven't really discussed on the topic before. And so I think it's good for the listeners to get these little insights of some of these, behind the scenes conversations that we're able to give and have, and, give them some insight into what we deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I get it from a business person's perspective. Like, I understand you want to make certain money, you want to scale your business, you want to grow. That's the dream of a lot of these people. But it's like, don't expect me to take it easy on you or say it's okay for you to use less than the effective ingredients just because you have a lot of employees. It's like, well, that's your fault.
Yeah.
That's not the people buying it's fault.
Right.
So people are like, oh, well, we help prop up the small ones. And it's like, people will come to the space regardless, just because you're getting a big chunk of the pie. Like, if you weren't there, they would just go somewhere else. So
correct.
It's just been kind of a hot topic of conversation lately. Yeah. Where I'm just like, I get it from a business perspective, but maybe you shouldn't be that big.
Good deal, man. Well, we've been jamming for a little over an hour. Don't want to abuse your time. Any big plans this week?
You never know when you're going to get me back on here, so you don't want to take advantage of it. No, I think, what do we got? We got conference championship games this weekend.
We do.
Miami did not make it. They are at rock bottom. So there's nowhere really for them to go from here. So I think I'll just watch. I'll watch some real teams play college football.
Watch LSU continue its streak of domination.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that. So what's going on? When's the game?
It is Saturday at 3 p.m. our time, so 4 p.m. your time. And given that the game is on CBS, that probably means it won't actually start till like 4:30 Eastern Standard Time, and then it'll go for another 4 hours after that. So maybe like 9 o'clock your time, it'll be over.
Do we know what's the spread?
LSU by 3, even though it's at the Georgia Dome. And I think it's garbage that Ohio State jumped LSU, but that just shows the bias of the media and the playoff committee, because you look at Ohio State's season, and you can't hold a candle to with the teams LSU's played.
Yeah, I get it. Ohio State's pretty impressive. Like, I hate them so much, and it pains me to say that. Like, I actually watched them. Who did they play? They just played
Michigan.
They played Was it Penn State and then Michigan?
Yeah.
Yeah, they look pretty good. But it doesn't matter anyway. You get in, you're going to have to play each other eventually anyway. LSU and Ohio State are on a collision course, I think. And that'll be a hell of a game. Ohio State's that's two really good offenses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think their defense might be a little bit better than ours. Or at least the teams they've played, they've had better defensive showings.
Well, it's like they got that one kid, that Chase Young kid that came back when he was suspended.
Yeah.
And I will not watch Ohio State football.
No, I'm not either. Unless we're playing them and beating them again like we did in the 2007 National Championship. Then,
I wanted to just take a look at him real quick, because I wanted to see Penn State beat him, even though I don't really like Penn State either. But that Chase Young kid, it was every play. he was putting pressure on the quarterback. I mean, literally every play, I was like, holy shit, this kid's good.
Yeah, he's a beast.
So we'll see. So I think we're gonna just kind of hang out this weekend and watch some football and do our thing.
Same here. Lots and lots of football watching. And I think the first conference championship game is tomorrow night. Is the Pac-12 tomorrow night?
I have no idea.
So I think that's what it is. They usually play on a Friday night because it's a conference nobody really cares about.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. I was like, I don't even know who's in the championship game.
Utah and
that's right. Utah is up
Oregon,
there.
I think.
Right.
Yeah. So should be interesting, man. Well, thank you as always for your time. I appreciate it, buddy, and I'm sure we'll be in touch as always.
All right, bud. We'll talk.
All right, man. Have a good one.